Hi guys, this is Andrew with rockclass101.com, and in this week's ukulele lesson, Matt's going to be teaching you how to play Deck the Halls. So this arrangement was one that he actually put on his record that came out about a year or two ago, which was called Merry Melodies. And I'm going to go ahead and put the link to streaming it if you want to check it out on Spotify in the description box below. So a lot of cool holiday tunes on that album. Now, the version that you just watched and heard is a condensed version that's heard on the album, but it has all of the parts that he played, just a little bit shorter in length. Now, with that said, I did get a chance to play through it, and I do think it's perfect for the intermediate fingerstyle player, so it's a good finger picking tune. And I think it has two things that I really, really love. The two things that I think is better to say stood out to me is the first one is hammer-on pull-off, but not just any hammer-on pull-off. Right off the bat, you hear this super fast, like lightning-quick hammer-on pull-off, which is really, really cool. Right, so you hear that da-da-da. I can't even sing it, it's so fast, right? It's just this quick hammer-on pull-off that happens on the A string. Now, if you're new to doing that technique, I'll put an introductory lesson in the description box below, so go ahead and check that out. It'll cover all of the fundamental basics in executing that technique. Now, the second thing that really stood out to me is coming from a harmony perspective. When you think of this song and you hear this song, you usually think of it in its traditional sense. So it's being played how it was written. So what does that mean? Well, let me play a little bit of it and just take a listen. So that's what we typically hear when we hear this tune. But then Matt does something different. He does this. And your ear is like, whoa, what happened? That sounds completely different, completely unique. And in a nutshell, he's doing a little music theory trick. So he's borrowing a chord from the parallel minor. So he's kind of mixing modes, so to speak. And it's just a really, really creative way to get a completely different color in the sound that we're hearing. Now, explaining that in greater detail is kind of a video in and of itself. But if you're interested in music theory, then definitely do check out our music theory course because it starts at the very beginning and lays down a solid foundation before you start to tackle more complex music theory concepts like this. Now, with that said, let's talk a little bit about this lesson. So in this video, you guys are going to learn the entire arrangement, but if you want to get the tabs to print off and follow along with, that's going to be available at this link right here, or you can go to the site rockclass101.com and do a search for Deck the Halls. Now, also on that page is going to be the really cool interactive tab player. So this is a really cool feature where you can hit play, you can watch the tab scroll across in real time, you can highlight bars to loop sections, slow it down to any speed you wish, just a great asset in learning this song that much easier. Alright guys, so I'm going to go ahead and hand it off to Matt to teach you how to play this tune, and then I'll see you at the end of the video.
Today we're going to work on an arrangement of Deck the Halls. I actually did this several years ago because I was trying to get really good at hammer-ons and pull-offs, and you'll notice that's going to be a theme throughout this arrangement. It's really fun to play, it's got this sort of drone-like feel, and let's go ahead and dive right in to measure 1. Now the hardest part of this song happens right here at measure 1, and it happens many times throughout the song. Let's go ahead and start though. We're going to take our index finger, place it here on the first fret of the E string, and that's going to be an F add 9 chord that we're going to begin with. Now to play this, I'm using what's called 4-finger picking, which means my thumb is on my G string, my index is on my C string, my middle finger here on the E string, and my ring finger on the A. I like to use the 4-finger picking because all of the strings are sort of equally used, and this allows me to play any combination of strings at any given time. Now to start, I'm going to pick my C string, then my E, then my G. Now here's that hard part I was just mentioning. We're going to pluck our A string, and immediately after plucking it, we're going to take our ring finger, we're going to hammer it on to 3 on the A, and then we're going to pull it off to 0 on the A. And we're going to follow that with open G on the thumb. This little hammer on pull-off is really the identity of this arrangement. It takes a lot of practice, but here's a quick tip. When you do your hammer on, try to use the tip of the finger and push it right up into that fret wire to get a good sound. And when you do the pull off, instead of just taking the finger off, try to pluck the string ever so gently with that finger. And you'll notice that will give you the good sound. And it's really important with this that you do the hammer on and pull up and then follow that with the open G right away. You'll notice this sounds best with a high G ukulele for that reason, to get that sort of sound. So far what we have is C, E, G, A hammer on, pull off, G. So, and then to continue, the last three notes of this measure are going to be 1 on the E, which is right there, just pluck the E string, pluck the C string, pluck the E string again. And that's all of measure 1. So in time, measure 1 should sound something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now as we go on to measure 2, you'll notice measure 2 starts off exactly the same. Same open C, same 1 on the E, same open G, same hammer on pull off, open G again, same 1 on the E. All of that is exactly the same. But then at the end of measure 2, it's going to hit a B flat chord. And to do this, what we do is we just take our index finger and we're going to bar it across 1 on the E and the A string, so sort of collapsing it. And then the middle finger is going to go here to the 2nd fret of the C string. Now, unlike a normal B flat, this B flat 6 requires an open G string, so it's actually a little bit easier. And we're going to pluck our C, E, and A together, and then the open G. So measure 2 looks something like this. And in time, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now here's measures 1 and 2 together. 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now as we go on to measure 3 is exactly the same as measure 1. Exactly identical. Pretty convenient. You'll notice that this measure is played a lot. That's what creates that sort of drone-like sound of it. So measure 3, identical to measure 1. And then measure 4 is almost the same as measure 2 and measure 1. It starts off the same with the 0 on the C, 1 on the E, 0 on the G, hammer on and pull off, 0 on the G, 1 on the E. But then the very last 2 notes are a little bit different. In this case, it's actually really easy. We just take our index finger off, play open on the C and the E, and then open G for a little C chord action. So measure 4 sounds something like this in time. 2 and 3 and 4 and. And measure 3 and 4 sounds like this. Notice how it's pretty much the same stuff. That's why if you're really struggling with measure 1, well, once you get it down, you're going to have the whole song almost, because that's really the meat and potatoes of this sound. It's really that hammer-on pull-off with that drone type of vibe. So from here, we go on to measure 5. And measure 5 actually starts the melody of the song with the deck the halls with boughs of holly, right? And so what we're going to do is play this F add 9 chord. You're going to take your ring finger, place it on the 3rd fret of the A string with your index here on the 1st fret of the E. We're going to pluck the C, E, and A together. Then the open G, open C. And then you're going to take this ring finger off, but you're going to bar the index across 1 on the E and the A and pluck those 2 at the same time. And then you're going to take that index off of the A string, leaving it on the E string. So it's 1 on the E and open on the A. Then the open G. And then you take this ring finger and you add it here on the 3rd fret of the E string. And then you're going to play the open G. So it looks something like this, nice and slow. And in time, 2 and 3 and 4 and. And so that's deck the halls with. So now we need boughs of holly. To play this, we're going to have our index still here on the 1st fret of the E string. We're going to add the middle finger on the 2nd fret of the C, pluck the C and E together, open G, slide these 2 fingers up for the 4 and the 3 on the C and the E, open G, and then we're going to play this trickiness, the 5-5. So what we do is we move our middle finger up to 5, take our ring finger, add it on 5 of the E string. So we have 5 on the C with the middle, 5 on the E with the ring. And with this, we're going to then pluck those 2 strings, the C and the E. And then we're going to play the open G again. We're going to go all the way back down to just our index finger here on 1 of the E. Open G again. So that measures something like this. Boughs of tall Lee. So it measures 5 and 6 in time. Should sound something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and... Now going on to measure 7. Measure 7 is exactly the same as measure 1, and measure 3, exactly the same. Exactly identical. So nice and simple there. But as we go on to measure 8, we'll notice now it's going to get the fa la 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 la. And so to get that on measure 8, we're going to play this sort of C chord by just taking our ring finger, placing it here on the 3rd fret of the E string, pluck the C and E together, and then open on the A, 1 on the A with the index, 3 on the E, which should still be there from your ring finger. Then go back to our F add 9, so index on 1 of the E, and that's it. Play the C, E, and A together. Open G, open C. And then we're going to take our middle finger and add it to the 2nd fret of the C string, and our ring finger add it to the 3rd fret of the E string. I like to leave my index finger here on the 1st fret of the E, and you'll notice why after we get to the next measure. But we'll pluck just the C and the E together to start that. So measure 8 is something like this. And let's go on into measure 9, and then we'll actually play all of this together. So measure 9 enters a bar of 2/4, which means there's only 2 beats in this measure, and that's going to be this. It's going to go really simple. All that is index finger on the 1st fret of the E string, which is carried over from the previous measure, open G, and then open on the C and the E, followed by the open G. So measure 9 is just, in time that's 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and. From here we go on to measure 10, and what's cool about measure 10 is it's exactly the same as measure 1, exactly identical. Same as measure 3 as well, right? And then as we go on to measure 11, 11 is exactly the same as measure 2. Again, a lot of repetition in this song makes it a lot easier to play. As we go on to measure 12 here, it's actually exactly the same as measure 10 and measure 1. And as we go on to measure 13 is going to be exactly the same as measure 3. Or excuse me, as measure 4. Exactly the same as measure 4 with that open C string and open E string with the C chord. And so measures 1, 2, 3, 4 are exactly the same as 10, 11, 12, 13. It's exactly identical. So here's what 10, 11, 12, and 13 should sound like. 2 and 3 and 4 and... Just so that we can hear it, here's all of melody A played all the way through. 2 and 3 and 4 and... Now from this point, we are going to go on to theme 2, and theme 2, melody B, however we want to call it. And at this point, measure 14 is going to start this sort of, kind of minor sounding part. And we're going to do this by playing a D flat major 7 chord. To do this, we just bar across the 2nd fret with our index finger on our C, E, and A strings on the 1st fret. Then take your ring finger and add it to the 3rd fret of the A string. So we have 1st fret barred with the index finger on the C, E, and A, 3rd fret on the A with the ring finger. We're going to pluck our C, E, and A together. Then we're going to play the open G, and then the 1 on the C. Then we're going to remove the ring finger and play the 1 on the E and the A together. Then we're going to add the pinky on 4 of the E, then open G, then 3 on the E with our ring finger, open G, and that's measure 14. Sounds like this: 2 and 3 and 4 and. Going right into 15, we're going to continue holding this. We take our ring finger off though, play 1 on the C and the E together, open G, 3 on the E with the ring finger, open G, pinky on 4 of the E with the 1 on the C, open G, and then the 1 on the C and the E together, open G. So measure 15, 2 and 3 and 4 and. So now what those two measures, 14 and 15, should sound like is this: 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now you'll notice I play the open G a little bit quieter because it's meant to be more of a drone note, while the other notes are more the melodic ones. So it can be helpful to kind of layer that when you're doing, to make it sound more musical. But as we go on to measure 16 is exactly the same as measure 1, and then measure 17 is exactly the same as that, as measure 16 and measure 1 as well. So 16 and 17 are exactly identical chords, or chords and rhythm and melody and everything. So from this point it actually repeats, and we go back to measure 14, and we play 14, 15, 16 again, so that we can hear it. Here's measures 14, 15, 16, 17, repeating, going to 14, 15, 16, and then we're going to go on to measure 18 for the second ending. And that's where we'll stop. So it sounds something like this: 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now we go on to measure 18 instead, and this actually is the end of theme 2. And all that we do for measure 18 is we play the same thing that we played on measure 13 on the prior part, or even on measure 4 at the very beginning of the song. It's all the same part being played with just that C chord at the very end. And so that we can hear it, here's all of theme 2, melody B, going through, starting with 14, doing 14, 15, 16, 17, repeat 14, 15, 16, 18. Should sound something like this: 2 and 3 and 4 and. That is theme 2. So now we go on to melody C, theme 3. And what's really cool about this is until the very last chord of the song, all of theme 3 is familiar. It's all the same stuff. It's just being repeated and rehashed in different ways. So starting on measure 19, we're going to play the same thing that we did for the Deck the Halls with Boughs of Holly. And what we're going to do is start with that 1 on the E string, 3 on the A, and we're going to pluck our C, E, and A together, open G, open C, and we're going to play the 1 on the E and the A together with the index, and then we're going to take the A string off so it's open on the index, but leave the 1 on the E, open G, add the 3 with the ring finger on the E string, open G, and that's measure 19. And then as we go on to measure 20, we're going to add the middle finger here on 2 of the C and play the 1 on the E together. Then the open G. Move those up 2 frets. Open G. Then move up to the 5 and the 5, just like we did earlier in the song. So the middle finger's on 5 of the C, ring finger on 5 of the E, and then the open G. Then 1 on the E string with our index finger, open up the C string, open G. So measures 19 and 20, very familiar, should sound something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and... Now, as we go on to 21, we're going to do the fa la 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 la, and this is sort of the beginning of the very end. So to do this, we're going to do the same exact thing we played earlier, and what that is 3 on the E string with the ring finger, play the C and E together, open on the A, 1 on the A, 3 on the E, and then we're going to play that 1 on the E, 0, 1, 0, which is our F add 9, open G, open C. Then we're going to add these 2 fingers back on to 2 on the C with the middle finger, 3 on the E with the ring finger. Going right into 22, 22 is one of those 2-4 measures. To play this, we're just going to have our index finger on the 1 of the E as the only thing fretted. Play the C and E together, open G, open on the C and E, and open G. So that's measure 22. So 21 and 22 together should sound something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and... And as we go into 23, 23 is the same as measure 1. Again, the most repeated measure in the song. We've played this so many different times, and it's exactly the same here on measure 23. What's cool though is it has a repeat marker after 23, and we're going to go back to measure 21. So what this means is to start this theme 3, we're going to play measures 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and then we repeat. But instead of going back to 19, we go to measure 21, and we play 21, 22, and 23 again. So let's go ahead and hear this. Let's start now with measure 21, and I'm going to do the repeat with it. So 21, 22, 23, repeat, 21, 22, 23. Should sound like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and... Now going on to 24, what's really funny about this is 24 is actually exactly the same as 21. It's exactly the same part, no difference whatsoever. So 24, the same as 21. And then we go on to 25, which is exactly the same as 22. So that's pretty convenient, right? It's the same measures being repeated. So 24 and 25 in time should be something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and... And then from here it goes on to finally something new. Measure 26 is going to be this high F chord. To play this, take your index finger, place it on the 5th fret of the E string, and take your pinky, place it on the 8th fret of the A string. So 5th fret of E, 8th of A, and I like to use my thumb to strum through to end the sort of song. So now, so that we can hear all of this third theme, I'm going to start at measure 19, and again, with the repeats, it's going to go 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, repeat back to 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26 to end. Should sound something like this. 2 and 3 and 4 and... Messed up that last chord just a little bit there. Make sure we get right up next to that fret on 8. But there you have it. Now, I really like to, at the end, slow down. Measure 24, 25, and 26. Play them nice and slow. just to give it a little bit more musicality at the end. But there you have it. There is Deck the Halls. You can actually download an MP3 of this recording over at Rock Class 101. I actually did a little holiday album last year, and this is on it. So if you'd like to check that out, it's linked down below as well. I hope you all have a safe and joyous holiday season, and I'll see you guys next time for the next tutorial here on Rock Class 101. Thanks so much.
All right, guys, so this lesson was a ton of fun. Just a timeless Christmas classic, just a beautiful Christmas carol. And with the changes that Matt threw into it, what I spoke about in the intro with that harmony change, and also just the quick hammer-on pull-off, it was a really fun finger-picking piece as well. Don't forget that this song was actually arranged for his Christmas album, which was called Merry Melodies. So I'll put a link in the description box below if you want to check out that album and stream it on Spotify. Now, last but not least, I do want to give you a friendly reminder. If you want to get the tabs to print off, keep for your records, that was available at this link, or you can go to the site rockclass101.com and do a search for Deck the Halls. And also on that page was the really cool interactive tab player, so you can hit play, watch that tab scroll across in real time, highlight bars, loop sections, slow it down, all that fun jazz. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this tune. Have a happy, Merry Christmas, and we'll see you in the next lesson. Take care.